Hey everybody,
What's happening?
welcome to the IronTrap podcast. Today we're doing a stripped down version
Yep.
with a little less visuals, but we are going to be talking about kind of our wrap up on Carlisle and a little bit of spring swap meets we've done. But specifically Carlisle, we talked about another one where we did like favorite swap meet
These
finds, but
stories and stuff. Yeah.
but we're going to talk about, people always, I feel like every year at Carlisle, everybody afterwards, if they didn't go to Carlisle or they only went one day, everybody's just asking us for what's the rundown? How was it? How'd you do? How were the crowds? How
What'd you
was the
see?
weather? What'd you see? What was cool? So we're just going to kind of answer everybody in one shot. So I'm not texting or emailing every person back
Yeah.
or responding to every YouTube comment. We're going to cover it all here.
Yes.
So a little bit of what's going on.
All the robot T-shirts have been shipped out.
Cool.
We picked them up right before Carlisle. I did my best to try and get them out while we were at Carlisle. There are extras. Give it about 2 weeks. Make sure everything arrives safely. The post office didn't lose anything. Everyone got the right sizes. And then we will put the remaining stock up for sale. We got a bunch of emails after the Carlisle video or the week in the life of where we showed them. They will be going for sale in about 2 weeks. Probably near Memorial Day, we'll put them up for sale. But there's a handful of extras. Majority have pockets. So what we
I
have
forgot
is,
we even offered it without pockets.
yeah, the pockets actually sold a lot more than non-pockets. So what we have is what we have. I don't know if we'll be doing another run of them. Depends on if they sell out really, really fast. Maybe we will.
I feel like what we've found is when we do these T-shirts is we'll get a small group of people that'll be bummed that
Yeah.
they missed out on the pre-order and then the leftovers, and they'll hit us up, and then we'll order them, and those 10 people will buy the shirts, and then we'll have 150 shirts left, and then
Yes.
they don't move as quickly as we'd like. So I think we're gonna do a lot of this like we did the pagoda shirt, where maybe 3-5 years from now we'll bring it back, or if we need to do a batch for ourselves, maybe we'll order a few extra and just drop them on the site and mention it in the podcast or
Yep.
Book in the Life of. But we're not doing another run. No, we're not doing a crop top girl shirt. No, we're not doing a slim fit,
What you get is
fashion
what you get.
shirt. You get whatever the fuck I want you to get is what you're getting in the end of the day. Sorry if your kids are watching this, but I feel very strongly about that.
2 minutes and 45 seconds. We got our first curse word.
F-bomb.
Yeah.
Don't forget, we run all of this. So just because you want a special T-shirt because you're a snowflake, no, not a snowflake. Everybody always has a thing. We started carrying 5X because we had some bigger
Yeah.
guys, and now we always carry 5X, but we sell like one 5X.
Kid shirts. I always get questions about kid shirts all the time.
We sell 3 kid shirts.
We don't even sell smalls. We hardly ever sell the smalls that we have. So buy your kids a small, and when they grow up and they can wear it, I have a pile of smalls set aside for my children.
Yes, but anyway, so thank you to everybody that
Yes.
purchased them. Sorry for that.
There are
F-bomb right
If you head to the website, if you missed the robot shirt, we have the crest design that's on the door of Big Red. We got a bunch of them still. There's a handful of the Ride With Us shirts left. Very, very small selection of sizes. I think we're out of extra large and large. But there's always merch up on the website. Of course, the flathead design will always be there. So if you want a new T-shirt or your old one is worn out, there's plenty of flathead, the car club shirts up there.
So only other stuff I think is coming up. We again, if you're not local, this doesn't mean anything. But today we're doing our we've mentioned a bunch, and I'm pushing a little harder in our week in the life of and stuff. The local antique car museum that I'm involved with, well, transportation museum that I'm involved with. I've been kind of championing us doing a First Friday cruise-in at the
Yeah.
museum. And tonight is actually our first one. So if you are anywhere, in a local area, and you want to go to a fun cruise-in, see a cool museum, they are doing that very graciously. The museum has agreed to offer their space at no charge, and we're trying to just put together a fun thing. So we talked about in one of our podcasts how you can get a car community or scene going. This was my thing. A lot of legwork on my part to try and get this going at no profit or anything to me. It was just, I thought it would be neat. Saw an opportunity. So anyways, if you're kind of local, come out. It should be pretty cool. No entry fee. Just
We will sell you parking spaces if you show up early.
no, I won't do that. But Yeah.
Early bird special.
Yeah, there you go. So, anyways, that's going on. I've been working in the background on the Mercury.
Yep.
This week I sprayed, did a little bit of body work around the windshield frame and sprayed some black lacquer. I was wet sanding already this morning, so I'm going to be starting to spot in some places and try and blend the paint. So that's exciting. We have some really big news coming shortly,
Yes.
and I don't know if I'm going to get the Mercury to that show because of all of the stuff that's going on that's in Indy. I'm going to try, but
The last month has been very hectic.
yeah, I literally this morning spent maybe an hour, half an hour wet sanding. That's probably all I'll get to do like all day today, and then maybe this weekend I'll steal. So it's hard to make progress as soon as spring comes. My productivity in the shop goes
Yeah.
way, way, way down. So if you were going to go to that show and say hello, I'm not guaranteeing it yet. We will let you know for sure once, ahead of time. But I'm hoping to make it. I really, really am. But there's so like I start thinking about it and my head almost explodes. Polishing the stainless window frames, getting all the door rubber in. I just am getting all that in now.
Interior.
And still waiting on the interior. Hint, hint, if you are listening to this, Chris, I would love to have an interior for my car so I can just drive it. But at the worst case, I'm hoping to do a little body work, blend in some black lacquer, throw the seats in, and even if I only have a windshield in, that would probably be acceptable to me to bring to that event. But again, I just don't know with the hours in the day. We have our buddy Nick is coming in, and his wife Nadia are coming in from Australia.
Who designed like
A bunch of our shirt designs.
A lot of them.
Yeah, the robot design
the flathead design he did.
Yeah, yep. So he's coming in to actually visit. His fiance and himself are coming in to visit, and Kate, myself, and them are going to the Brimfield Antique show or market that's in Massachusetts in like 2 weeks or a week
and a half.
Week and a half. So I'm gonna lose basically a week with that. We got shows. It's a great time of year. It's just we always pack it with so much of my head spinning, and next thing I know, it's August.
Yes.
And I'm like, what happened?
And then it's Hershey time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Hershey, and we start all over again.
Yes.
So, anyways, that's basically some stuff that's going. Oh, Pete's interior's done.
Yes.
Or his convertible top. Jerry killed it. So if you follow our social media, I posted some teasers on a story. We'll probably, if I get time this weekend, I might go pick it up, or early next week, we're going to go grab it, get it back to Pete. Pete's going to start driving it. So
I talked to Jerry. Pete was there has been there a few times now,
Yeah.
and he said he was just so ecstatic and
Yeah.
excited to drive it. So I'm very, very, very happy.
yeah, everything involved was really, Jerry hooked him up. It should have been much more expensive than it was. We sold some parts for Pete. I actually bought a set of rare finned heads from Pete that he had just like collecting dust to
Yeah.
help fund it. So like in the end of the day, Pete probably out of pocket had very, very little into it, and he got a top job done on
Yeah.
that convertible top. And so it kind of lit the flame. It
It
seems
transformed the look of that car
Oh my
too. It's
God.
amazing how with the top up it looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and Jerry he didn't change a lot from what was done back in the day. He moved the back bow, just like laid it down a couple degrees. Most people wouldn't notice from the old photos, and just that little bit
Helped a
man,
lot.
It just helped a lot, and it looks awesome, and it's great. So super stoked on that. It's gonna be awesome. So a lot of stuff going on. So Carlisle.
It was great, man. I think this is probably one of the best Carlisles for weather. We didn't have any.
Yeah, I agree.
Monday was a little, overcast and drizzly, and Friday we had some rain at the end of the day. But Tuesday to Friday afternoon was like the best. Wasn't overly hot.
Yep.
Wasn't cold, and was just beautiful and sunny for 4 days straight.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, we got lucky. You never know with Carlisle.
Especially Spring Carlisle. Spring Carlisle is like super hot one day, and then the next day it's snowing. It's like very up and down. It's crazy for weather.
Yeah, so the weather helped big time. We've talked about in a handful of podcasts and videos that ever since the COVID debacle where they actually fought the state to hold the swap meet, I feel like Carlisle's been doing a good job of growing the swap meet, and it's just been doing good. I mean, they take care of the grounds. Everything's pretty organized. I mean, overall, it's that's one of those things. Yes, it's expensive, but you're getting like all the spaces are kind of maintained, and my grass is mowed.
Cut, yeah.
plenty of employees. They got guys running around that are moving parts for you. They got
This
a
year,
forklift up.
this year they implemented like a taxi service.
Yeah.
So they were running like big 8-person golf carts in a big circle around the fairgrounds.
Awesome.
So it's like every swap meet, spring and fall, they make changes to make it better. And, there's plenty of old people walking around. A taxi service. I saw so many people getting shuttled around to make it so much easier to get around the fairgrounds.
Yeah, so they're doing a good job, and because of that, we're starting to see an increase again in vendors. We're seeing an increase in participants or shoppers. So I think overall it was one of the most full.
Pretty sure I heard from some of the vendors it was sold out for vending.
Really?
Yeah, I mean they were full all the way on top. If you're familiar with Carlisle, up by the turnpike, there's a big hill. That whole row was totally full. Now I'm not saying everyone showed up, but all the spaces were bought, from what I understand.
Yeah, it was. Regardless, it was probably one of the best spring or fall Carlisles.
Definitely.
Very, very, very. I mean, since we've been doing this full time, definitely.
Yep.
As long as I can remember, since I've been going, it's probably the best it's been. So I'm sure, like the 70s and the 80s, it's still not as good. But like, the good thing is we're seeing an increase in people coming to shop, buyers, everything involved. Another thing that somebody else I was talking to with about, it seems like we're getting a lot more vendors, but it's not like T-shirt or cell phones. It was actually people selling used parts or memorabilia or signs or stuff that's relevant to the hobby. I think the car corral still isn't what it used to be, but it still had a fair amount in it. I think with the internet sales of cars, it's going to be hard to get the car corral like it was pre-internet days.
And I think their auction also hurts it as well.
Yeah, it's true. People put stuff in the auction.
The auction's new in the last 10 or so years, I think.
Yeah.
And before it would just be the car corral would be packed. And I think a lot of the nicer, higher end cars that would have been in the car corral now just go to the auction across the street.
True. So yeah, I think the turnout was good. Sales wise, it was one of our better years. And having that Oklahoma sheet metal, we had a lot of guys that came.
We sold a bunch of truck parts.
Yeah, they came right to our booth, or we were one of their first stops to pick up and check out the stuff. And we sold some quality. Some of the better stuff that we bought, we sold there, which was the goal. So we try and make our booth, we always joke, we're trying to make our booth like, if you're into early Fords or the stuff like we have, the best booth in Carlisle.
Yep.
Now, we're not the best booth overall, but like, if you're looking for good early Ford, early Chevy also stuff, we have a nice collection. Did not sell any cabs.
We did sell a pair of doors, which is surprising. We always have this discussion. We never know what to bring because whatever we bring is the wrong thing. We handed out like 200 business cards because everyone would walk in and be like, it was small stuff this year. People were looking for like door latches, door handles, small like parts to put a car together, and we brought a lot of big stuff. And then years we bring really small stuff. They're looking for doors and fenders, and it's one of those things you just never know. So bringing the cabs, we just had to try to see if we could sell any, and we didn't. It wasn't the best layout, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think we borrowed a spot from our neighbor, and unfortunately, the way the booths surrounding it were set up, the trailer kind of got lost in all of it. It wasn't the best visibility. We had people look at it; it just wasn't great, and the whole idea was we wanted like no effort to be involved, so we just parked the trailer. And it didn't sell. I hooked my truck up and I went home, and we didn't really have to do anything.
The good thing is we put other stuff in front of the trailer that did sell.
Yeah, that's true.
So there was extra items there that we sold we wouldn't have brought normally because we didn't have room for them. Yeah. So at least we made money off of that spot.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we did sell some stuff. So as far as that stuff goes, it's pretty good. Trying to think. So was there anything you saw that was really cool or that you liked that was
this is probably the least amount of walking I've ever done because normally we have Steve with us and Steve hangs out at the booth and Matt and I kind of just split off and do our thing, but this year we decided I was going to stay at the booth. Steve had an engine to work on here and I know what we have in inventory, so 90% of the time when I'm walking around I'm talking to Steve on the phone because he's calling me asking, hey, I have a guy looking for
Yeah.
this. Do I have this? Do we have this? So it kind of made things a little bit more simple. I just hung out, answered all the questions. Steve got work done here, and Matt went out and shopped.
Yeah, we always go back and forth with the operation that we have. We're pretty, as much as it seems like we got a big, I mean, we do have something pretty large going on, but like it's still just three of us. And a lot of times, when we do the swap meet, there's a lot of time that Steve is not talking to anyone, or some of the first days of the swap meet, sometimes it's funny and there'll be nobody shows up.
Yeah.
And if the camera bounces around, that's Moon. He's sleeping under the tripod, so he just
I tried to get him to move when he set it up, and he literally refused.
So he just put his head up and banged the tripod. So if it shakes, that's the Moon dog. He's literally under the camera, under the tripod. Take a photo of that. We'll drop it in. He's asleep under the tripod. That's the Moon dog. And he's feeling much better. If anybody was interested, his tail is 99% healed up. His back hair is all.
Yeah, his fur's growing back, and you can't even tell.
He's back to summertime guard duty, where he just lays in the shade in all different spaces and waits for somebody to woof at. So, but yeah. So Steve is very helpful, but there's a lot of times where he is just sitting there and not talking to anyone, and it's kind of like, well, we should be more efficient. We have stuff at the shop, so Steve came and helped us set the booth up, which is one of the biggest things we need help with, and then Mike and I just kind of split our duties and with watching the booth, and honestly, I don't feel like we missed that much. I mean, it's just we probably would have bought more, but we have so much to sell right now.
All the stuff that I looked at that was a good deal. It's like we have like 5 of those. Is it really that important to grab it right now? The only thing I saw that I bought for myself was I found a pair of nailhead Y and valve covers. I've been hunting for a set for that 322 I have squirreled away. I don't really need them, but they were a good deal, and I've been hunting for a set, so I bought them. And then I ended up buying a second set online because I posted about it, and someone sent me a message. Said, I have a pair I want to sell. So I have 2 pairs now.
Yeah.
They multiply.
That's how it always works.
Yeah. But probably the coolest thing was that barn find. Was it 58 or 59?
Olds, yeah.
Olds.
I think it was 58, yeah. I think. Yeah, that thing was 25 grand. Which I think was a little on the stiff side, but wasn't outrageous. Only because it was literally pulled out, dusty, nothing done to it. Now, if they would have maybe got it running on a nurse tank or something, so we know it has oil pressure, I would have felt a little better. But it was
interior was beautiful. I couldn't believe how nice the interior was.
Interior was beautiful. The paint looked like it would have shined up. The chrome was decent and probably would have all polished up. I mean, it would have. I was seriously thinking if I wasn't currently on a not spending ban, but
hiatus
on cars. Especially stuff that I don't need or love. I like that car, but I didn't love it.
Yeah,
and I don't even know what I'd want for a '50s car. That car was.
I love them. They had a ton of stainless trim on them, an overboard amount of stainless trim.
Stainless and chrome is crazy on those things.
Yeah.
I always say that I think GM. 58, 59, 60, maybe even into 61. They're all my favorite 50s cars.
Perfect. All makes of GM in that era.
Yeah,
amazing.
Pontiacs are good, Buicks are good, Chevys are good. They're all good. But that Olds I like Olds engines, so that's kind of cool. Just had a great look to it. And I when we got home, I seriously was like, man, I should have called that guy. I should have stopped and asked and just seen if he'd wiggle on the price.
Yeah.
But I know what happens. Then once I get into negotiating, then I want it. And then all of a sudden, I'm spending $22,500.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to spend any money.
I will say there's a lot more, as you walk through the swap meet the last couple of years, fall and spring, there's a lot more early non-Ford cars showing up. There's what was that, 30, it's 32 Mopar, was it DeSoto?
Oh, yeah.
It was up by the grandstands.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a bunch of other 30s cars that were floating around. There was a beautiful 37 Woody that was under the pavilion in the car corral that was freaking awesome. I was looking all over that thing. It was really, really nice. I mean, it was priced basically what I would think it should have been priced, but a 37 Woody isn't on my list, so I wasn't tempted. I took the car in. I thought it was nice. The other thing I noticed was the crap ton of Ford pickups. I actually think there was more Ford pickups for sale than C10s this year.
Oh, like 60s, 70s era.
Yeah, yeah, there was so many
There
in the
was a
car
lot.
corral and the car and the show, the swap itself. It's like within a matter of 2, 3 years, it flip flopped and the trends changed. And like
Yeah.
C10s are still huge, but like previously it was like there was a million C10s for sale all over the swap meet and in the car corral. Now like the car corral had all these 60s, 70s Ford product,
Yeah.
trucks that were in there. And
It's probably because the C10 market got so
yeah,
saturated and expensive.
now the
They
Fords
just,
are picking
yeah,
up.
exactly. In a couple years, it'll probably switch to Mopar, and Dodge trucks of that era will be all over the swap meet
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I think they're all kind of picking up but
Hmm.
I've relevant to my interest because I've been keeping my eye out for I love the diesel swap in the big red truck. It's a 65 F500. I love the swap in that and it's made that truck so much more usable, but the truck is very, very large. So when I want to just run like literally 2 days ago, my nephew and I ran and got flowers and dog food and something else and I took that little overkill, a little bit of overkill.
Just
So,
a tiny bit.
so I've been thinking about looking for a late 50s to 70s Ford like F250, and doing the swap. Same thing. Like I actually want a long. I'm fine with a long bed, so I can use it. So I was kind of maybe I noticed it more because I'm been keeping my eye out. Nothing there really. I'm trying to be patient. So I'm trying to like I want the one, I want one that's like got the perfect age to it.
On setup day, we drove through the car corral, and he hopped out and looked at two different pickups because he's like, "Go look at that one. Oh,
Yeah.
there's one on the trailer over there.
Yeah,
Go look
yeah.
at that real quick."
Yeah, and the problem is even around most especially on this part of the country, like there was a pretty nice one
Yeah.
that was I mean it was good. I'm trying to be picky and I looked under the, behind the headlights and in front of the radiator they tend to rot out. So the truck looked good. It was, but I started seeing some undercoating sprayed underneath of it, which is a telltale sign they're hiding some stuff. And then you look up behind the headlights, it was all rotted out. Now again, the truck presented well. If you sprayed some rust encapsulator and slowed it down, it probably would have been fine for a while. But I'd rather spend the money and get like a one from the Pacific Northwest
Yep.
or the Midwest. It's like super dry, pay more money for it because that's something I want to keep and drive. Like that would be
And honestly, the prices we've looked in the like central Midwest America, the prices are actually not that.
they're not.
Very comparable to what's here, and they're not rotten.
Yeah, yeah. So it's one of those deals you could spend 7 or 10 grand and get a really good one. The problem is that I don't usually want the drivetrain. So like a lot of these ones, even at the swap meet, the guys have them running or it has a 302 that's all redone, and I'm like, well, that's great, but I don't want that. I
Yeah,
want to
I'm gonna take that out.
pull all that out and put a Cummins in it because that's what I want. So I'll eventually find the right one. I'm trying to be patient, and my F250 I have that's got the rusty bed still runs and works just fine. It's just it's got mid 200,000 miles on it at this point. That's why people give us crap about putting a new bed on it. We even found one at the swap meet, but it was 5 grand for a bed, and I'm like, well, I could buy a whole one of those F250s for a little bit more money
Yep.
and build something that's like a little better, or I put 5 grand into a bed and put it on my truck, and then the trans blows or the engine blows up 2 weeks later, and I got to spend another 5 grand, and then now we're into it. So I love my F250, but really for me, at this point, I think I would rather build a truck that we could use that is also vintage. I think that
Yes.
would be the next cool step. Is
Oh,
towing.
100%.
We went out to Chicago to get that Deuce Roadster and the Model A. It's like, what if we were using my 60s F250 with a Cummins, and that's what we pulled out there. Like I'd love to build something that's
We just got to make it drivable that it does like 75, 80, because that's a long drive at 60 miles an hour.
well, I think with the when you get into that era and non-big trucks, they have a rear that's more common
That's
that you
true,
can get
yeah.
good ratios. The problem is with the big truck, it's such a big rear and a dually that it's a lot harder. So I think it won't be too bad to do that. So, but yeah, the Ford trucks seem to be a lot of them there.
This is probably the first year that I saw the least amount of speed equipment. You have your typical vendors with their big
Yeah.
setups. Our friend Richie, and I can't remember the other guy's name. They always have, that's what they specialize in, is big spreads, but I didn't see anything really crazy. I didn't see anything that was like, I've never seen one of those before.
most of the people that had really crazy stuff were the guys like that we know that are resellers like ourselves. So
Yeah.
they, much like us, they're gathering for the whole year and then they're putting out their spread of the
Yep.
good stuff. So those in the wild, I didn't see a lot of anything that was really like got me super excited
And probably the
myself.
least amount of 32 grills too. I didn't see very many for sale.
Yeah, not really. I bought a 34 grill that I just got lucky. Like we always say, swap meets are all about timing and luck. A lot of them.
It's hardly even timing. It's just luck. You have to
Yeah.
just walk by when someone's setting something out, really.
Yeah, so I was standing talking to an older guy, just BSing, and that I know, and some guys are more long-winded. So I was there for a lot longer than I would have liked to be, and I was getting ready to leave, and out of the corner of my eye, the guy like one row over, I could see the back of that guy's space, and he was unloading the van, and he walks out with a 34 grill, or his son did. It was an older guy, and his son was helping him. Walks out, and he like kind of looks in and lays it on the pile of crap they're just unloading from the van, and I'm like, one moment, boom, ran over. I'm like, hey, so how much for that old Ford grill? And it was affordable, and bought it, and that was just a timing thing because if I didn't stop to talk to that guy, I was actually 2 rows over from that going the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
I had already covered that area, and that, just luck of the draw.
We would have been sitting at the booth and watched someone else walk by with it going, what the fuck? What?
Yeah.
How would you pay for that?
Yeah, dang it. So yeah, that was cool. I took it. Oh no, did it at the booth. I just fixed some of the tweaked bars in it and made it look more presentable, and we turned it over to somebody else for a little more money. Just did a little bit of straightening of the part that was banged up,
A little
cleaned it up.
polishing, send it
And,
on its way.
So that's just swap meets. Everybody does it. We just don't pretend like we don't do it. There's people that pretend like they're.
Oh, I found it at home. I've
Yeah.
had it for a while.
Yeah, I found it. It was a good deal. We fixed it up a little bit.
And honestly, we sold it for. It wasn't steep. We sold it for a fair price. We made a few
there was
bucks.
probably still money left
Yeah,
in it if the guy
100%.
wanted to sell it again. So it wasn't.
And actually, like, clean it up. We did like a little bit of steel wool and some Windex in the booth. If you would have taken like some actual time to clean it
Yeah.
up nicely, there's definitely a few bucks left in it.
Yeah. So, but happy to pass it down the road. And again, like I've been talking about, if lately I've been selling off some 34 grills and some stuff like that because I have duplicates, and like that one wasn't any like that was all my other ones are much nicer than that. So if it was better than any of my other ones, I would have gladly swapped it out and sold
Yeah.
one of mine, but it wasn't. So we just sent it down the road. So otherwise, yeah, I didn't see anything really crazy at Carlisle that I haven't seen before. They closed that far gate, which I know a lot. That was the only complaints I heard. The one gate, something happened with the ownership of the property at the one gate. A lot of people come in back on the hill.
You know what's weird? I watched people park. You can't park at the gate. They parked a little bit further away. They were still walking through that field to go to the lower gate.
I don't know.
So
think it's
strange.
I still think it hurt it, no matter what.
Definitely.
Carlisle was making announcements that you couldn't use that gate and blah blah blah. So a lot of the people that are on the back side of the swap meet on the hill and by the turnpike, some of those people, a lot of them do really well because a lot of people, much like we're near gate 1 and a lot of people park near us, a lot of people parked at that gate near the armory or whatever.
It's like gate 6, I think it was.
And they would walk through, and those are the booths they would hit first. So those people would do fantastic. So like I heard a lot of people that we know that vend in that area that were kind of complaining because it was really slow for them because everybody was coming in other gates.
Yep.
And they weren't getting to that area. So it's unfortunately that's the luck of the draw that something changed with the parking situation, and the crowd of people weren't coming there.
Yeah, we're very lucky to be by gate. I think there's gates 1, 2, and 3. I think they're solidified as always being entrance gates. So I think we got really lucky. Our spaces are so good.
Yeah, gate 1 has always been, because that's where all the huge vendors, Coker's set up right near us.
Yep.
Like since Carlisle's heydays, that's where you wanted to be if you were a big vendor. So for us to be there is...
I feel like that's where 90% of the people park too, because that's where the Carlisle parking lot is right across the street from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it works out pretty good. And I think otherwise... Buying wise, I was pretty reserved this year. I didn't. There was a lot of stuff I left sit because I was just like, meh. Yeah, and just we have so much right now. I was
Yeah.
trying to. I'm also thinking about all the stuff. We still got to move and unload. That's at other estates. We have a couple multiple estates lined up that we have to go get that we haven't even bought and brought back here. So I'm like the
Not
whole
even
time.
that. We have 2 estates that we're in the middle of that we have
Yeah,
to bring back.
yeah. So like the whole time I'm walking around, much like Mike, I'm like, that's a pretty good deal. But I'm like, I know it. In Minnesota, there's probably 4 of these, and in a month we're gonna have 4 or more of these. So why
Yep.
buy another one? So left some stuff sit. Somebody else bought it and made money, and that's totally fine. But I think some of the cool stuff if you watch the week in the life of, I think that's where we showed it,
Yeah.
right? In the week in the life of video, we went over some of the stuff we bought.
That's
But
coming out on Tuesday.
oh, so it hasn't come out yet.
Yes.
Oh, well then we'll talk about it, and you'll also see it. So I bought probably the coolest thing I bought to keep was and I paid retail for it. I have no idea what retail is, but it felt like retail because
It was expensive.
I bought this big Mercury Lincoln service sign, and it is big, but it was probably much bigger. It's
Probably
cut
what, 10 foot long?
8 or 10 foot long, metal sign. It's painted with the smolts, like reflective lettering, and it says Lincoln Mercury Service, and then it has the Mercury man's head and part of the Lincoln logo, and it probably said Ford above it and was taller, but it was cut. A guy right across the road from us that was a sign guy had it. There's an auction lot number sticker on the back. Like, not that I care. So we talk about this a lot. Like, yes, we're resellers and we buy and sell and make money. Like, I have no problem paying retail if it's something I want. I wasn't like giving that guy a hard time because he bought it at an auction probably a day before, or
Yeah.
2 days before. Maybe he bought it at the Carlisle auction. I don't even know. I don't give a shit. I saw it. He had it. I wanted it. So I went back and forth and looked at it. Our friend Ron, who's a sign guy, looked at it with me, and I was kind of gonna pass on it. And then he's like, well, if you put a wood frame around it, even though it's cut, and kind of clean up the edges, he's like, it'll look a lot more presentable. It'll still look nice. And him and the sign guy I was buying it from, everybody's like, I've never seen one like it. I've never seen one before. So like, for me to have a sign that you don't ever see is just as cool. A lot of the signs that we have character to them. I definitely don't collect the perfect mint
Yeah.
NOS looking signs. I like when you could tell the sign is real and is, it's whatever. So I think I ended up paying $800 or $900 for it. He was asking like 1,000. But I'm sure he didn't have a lot of margin because he probably bought it at auction, and
Yeah.
whatever I paid for it in that range, I thought it was cool. I didn't buy a lot of other crap at the swap. Like a lot of other years, this was like Friday, I think I bought it, or Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
Usually by Thursday or Friday, I've already spent a crap ton of money buying all kinds of randomness. So then when you get to Thursday or Friday, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I should spend any more money.
I
Kind
spent
of
all
like
my money already.
Yeah, so like at that point, I hadn't bought a lot. I definitely didn't buy anything very expensive. So I was like, that's the one thing that was unusual. So getting that, bunch of just little, I've been buying a lot more at swap meets, putting cars together. It's all those little detail pieces that I think help make a car. So like original switches that, vintage headlight switches and starter buttons and battery cutoffs and all that stuff. So now I'm looking at these vendors. I'm more interested in these vendors that have like NOS, hundreds of NOS switches. And I go through and pull all the cool little ones because every time we put a car together, you need a starter button switch because the positive ground one on a Ford won't work with 12-volt negative ground.
Yeah.
So you need a 2-prong push button switch. They're actually kind of hard to find unless you buy a cheesy, new one. So like stuff like that I was looking for. I found a cool old military battery cutoff switch like I have in the DeLorean Roadster that we found at Moultrie years ago. Same deal. A guy just had it. So like I'm now finding myself looking for those little details for the cars to put them together more so than like running around trying to find every piece of speed equipment I could find, I mean, Richie there was a Winfield head sitting on a table. I was sitting talking with the guy. I saw it, and he thought I was stalking. I'm like, no, dude, you buy it. I'm just here talking. I'm hanging out. It was cool, but I don't really collect banger stuff, and I just wasn't that bothered, So that was probably the theme. So only one one big thing to
Yeah.
keep. I don't know if there was anything else. I got that neat Lincoln distributor, which is just super nerdy. It's just a uses a distributor cap like a Kong does. It's like a dual coil distributor. I grabbed that. It was
Gauge
NOS.
panel.
Oh, I got that cool boat gauge panel. That was probably the most fun thing I
Yeah.
bought. And actually, last night I cleaned all the old crap off of it and put it in my
Oh,
case.
did you?
Yeah, I was bored after the cruise in last night, so I did that.
And this year you've again probably because of noticing Ford pickups because of looking for one. You bought a bunch of Chevy stuff.
Oh
too.
yeah, 30 Chevy stuff. I was on a roll as far as reselling goes, or stuff to make money on. I was on a roll buying like 30s Chevy stuff. I don't
Yeah.
know why. I bought, one of our neighbors right down the way from us had cut up a 41 or 40 Chevy sedan delivery, and I bought a seat from him. He was like two booths down from us. And then I was talking to him, much like we talk about in the podcast. I just had a friendly conversation. And he goes, "Oh, I got a door back in my house. If you want me to bring it tomorrow, I'd sell it." I'm like, "What do you want for it?" And he tells the price. I'm like, "If it's as good as you're saying, I'll buy it, no problem." So he brought it back with a couple other odds and ends. So we bought that. Bought a sedan delivery, like 37 or something.
Yeah,
Chevy
rear bumper.
sedan delivery, like step through bumper, step in bumper, which was cool. And then a bunch of smalls and
Yeah.
odds and ends. But it was just like, Mike and I were joking. It's like I actually like buying that stuff for resale because I think it's neat, but I have no connection or interest in keeping any of it. So like for me, it's very easy. Like when I buy a 34 grill, it's always like, man,
It's very easy for me too because I don't. When we get back from swap meets, I always walk over with stuff and I'm like, "What do you want to sell it or keep it?" I have to like ask him.
I'm like
The
hemming and hawing.
Chevy stuff, I just like okay, I can just photograph it and put it away. I don't have to make any decision or ask
Yeah.
him anything. It's for sale.
Yeah, and I think that's part of our evolution of our business. We do the early Ford stuff very well. I think that early Chevy stuff of the same era is almost as popular.
Yeah, definitely.
It's probably just more picky with the years. So like a 20 Chevy is a dud. Like anything for them are not really worth anything. But that like even 32 is iffy for
It's
Chevy.
like 35 and up.
Yeah, 35 to 48. Like in that era,
Yep.
I think we're starting to learn a lot more about it. So some of that stuff we're starting to buy more often. And I think that with the evolution of our business, it's kind of a natural evolution if we start stocking or carrying some of that era of Chevy stuff because they're very popular. Last night I went to the cruise in locally and there was like there was a 40 Chevy coupe and I'm like, there's that deck lid that we have, and like there was a 37 Chevy, like two cars. There was a bunch of Chevys in that realm, and I'm like looking. I'm like, oh, those are the hoods we have from Oklahoma. There, we got a bunch of those grills, and I'm like, now I'm recognizing it. So much like the Ford stuff, I'll start to see it more often when we're out picking places. Where before I used to just not pay
I think it's
attention.
just good knowledge for us to have too because we're both so knowledgeable. We don't know everything, but we're fairly knowledgeable in the early Ford parts, and it helps us learn. We're out picking somewhere. You pick garnish molding up. You're like, this isn't Ford, but it could be a couple $100 Chevy garnish
Yeah.
molding that we leave behind.
I just mean with the evolution of the business, people are already coming to us, and that's what happened with the Oklahoma video.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody, because of the Oklahoma video, Mike did if you guys didn't see it, Mike did a bunch of like stories or videos on our Facebook and our Instagram and stuff when we were actually at the farm, going through those cars. And because of that video picked up some traction on social and it was getting a lot of views. And because of that, we were getting a lot of people that don't know anything about us. They're like, do you have a 37 Dodge? Do you have a 35 Plymouth? And they're asking about anything old. So I think us starting to carry a little bit of the good stuff from those different makes.
Definitely.
Not that we're going to go out and purposely buy a 37 Plymouth parts collection, but like we'll probably start carrying and the good stuff that's popular more. Because it's, a lot of people have, our friend George that's helping us do the rears. He's got a 35 Cabriolet or 36 or 35 Cabriolet
36.
Ford. But then he's also got like a 37 Chevy sedan street rod. So it's like a lot of guys like have
Multiples.
both. And it's like it makes sense for us to carry some of that stuff because it goes hand in hand. It's a little easier of a fit than us carrying like Chevelle parts.
Yeah.
So that's why I think you will see us doing more of that and carrying more of that stuff because they're very cool. Not that I have any problem with them. We just tried to focus on what we know. So you may see a little more of that. But that was what was happening. We bought some in Oklahoma. We bought some at the swap meet. It'll start coming out of the woodwork, and we may start picking some of that stuff up just to pass it along.
And at swap meets, people always, just because we have old parts,
Yeah.
people just come in, they're like, do you have anything for a 36 DeSoto? It's like, no, we mostly deal in early Ford stuff, but, you know, we don't right now, but we might in the future. So we always have people asking for weird stuff at swap meets, always.
That reminds me of one of the funniest things, and it happens, I don't know why, mainly at Carlisle, and it's happening more, but like on Friday, I think it was, Thursday or Friday, I was manning the booth, Mike went out and walked. It was just my father and I hanging out. And for a minute, I felt like a pawn shop.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about this.
So
I came back after it all settled.
Yeah, so the booth like like at Carlisle, all swap meets, but especially Carlisle, you'll get like these waves of people, and then it'll be like dead. And for 15 minutes, half an hour, there's like, lucky if you get one guy come through. And then all of a sudden, you'll get hit, and our booth will be like, it'll be like mob, shoulder to shoulder. People
like handing you money with parts, and it's like, who do I owe change? Dude, okay, you're good. All right, see you, bye.
So it was like, there was guys walking in buying stuff, asking my father questions, asking me questions. And then at the same time, multiple guys walked in to sell us things. So we've been getting at a lot of swap meets. Guys just know that we buy old stuff. And guys will come to the swap meet with some old parts, and they figure that they can go to us, trade in some stuff that they have. I hand them cash. And then they're going out and swapping, and they're like, I could buy some trinkets for myself because I just sold these guys something that was laying under my workbench. So we had a guy come in, he had some, early Model A headlights.
AR, yeah, 28 AR.
Headlights that were pretty nice, and he brought them in. He's like, I don't even really know what these are. And I said, they're Model A. And, you know, I like we always do. They already know the score, but I always say again, hey, I'd get $200 for these lights. I got to pay $75 to, you know, make some money and whatever the deal is. And most of the time the people are fine with it. A guy came in, probably the coolest thing was a guy came in with a 37 Cadillac grill. He came in and asked me first because it was heavy and he didn't want to carry it. And he's like, I got a caddy grill and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know, they're die cast. I said, if it's broken, like the bars are broken, it's crappy or pitted, super pitted. I said, probably not interested. They're hard to sell when they're rough because they're hard to repair. He said, no. I used to own a taxi or a limousine business. And he said the business, I don't know if when he bought it or they just had one, but he said we had a 37 Caddy limousine that we used to use or display. And he said, I sold the business and I just sold the Caddy for big money. He said, this was an extra grill that was left over. And he's like, I don't know what it's worth. Figured you guys might be interested. And I looked at it and I'm like, I don't know what it's worth either. Made him an offer. We haggled a couple of times, bought it. And it actually ended up being a little better than I thought. But still, like, as this was all going on, a guy was handing me money, put in the cash box, and then I'm handing this guy the same money, and I'm trading parts.
Yeah.
You know,
it's always funny sitting at the booth, too, because your dad's much older than you and I are. So it's like the three of us are sitting there. They just ignore Matt and I, and they just walk up to Jim and just talking to him. And Jim goes, I don't know. Talk to these two.
They're like, sir, how much is your grill? He's like, I don't.
Talk to him.
Yeah, and the guy will come to me, and he goes, who's the boss here or something like that? I'll say, you know, I am. And they're like, well, no, who is this all hit your dad's stuff? I said, no, it's all my stuff. He doesn't know like, not to be rude. I'm like, he doesn't know shit. He's just hanging out. Like he's just eating lunch. Like my dad's just there hanging out. He knows a little bit, but like my dad also never did the wheeling and dealing like I did. So he's like super, like I had to run to go to the bathroom while he was watching. I'm like, Dad, just, I know we did the Model A swap meet. That's what it was. And I wanted to go out and get a couple video shots of the show. My dad's like, I hardly had any parts there. I didn't bring anything like real high dollar. My dad's like, well, what do I do if a guy wants to negotiate? I'm like, anything that's laying out here on the ground, if they offer you over half, just and don't do this at our swap meet because this doesn't work all the time. But I was like, anything they offer you over half, I probably don't care because the Model A swap meet, I just bring a bunch of stuff we want to get rid of. I said, you can take the price. And he was like, are you sure?
Yeah, don't do that at Carlisle Hershey because I will run you out of the booth.
Yeah, run you out of the booth.
But
like,
go away.
But even like my dad, you know, at Carlisle, I'm like, if they offer you 10% off,
Yeah.
you could pretty much take it and I won't be upset. On most of our stuff, there's enough margin left in it that you can do that. You can't take 50% off everything, but or we
People
won't.
try.
Yeah,
People
they will
try every
but-
swap meet.
So that was kind of funny. People were always asking my dad, because you would think it's his stuff, but it's actually mine, and they don't. People have
Yeah, I always laugh because I know what they're gonna ask, and I don't intercept them. I just watch your dad go. Dad, I don't know. Talk to him.
Or they think when Steve's running the booth, they think that Steve's
Yeah.
the boss because he's older than us, and I'm just like, no.
I'm excited for fall. I mean, if this was a trend, unfortunately Hershey last year was really bad because of the bad hurricanes that happened the week before.
I think it killed the little bit. Yeah.
So I'm hoping this fall, fall Carlisle and Hershey, we'll have some crazy stuff this year. We have a lot of things lined up for this summer. So
Who knows? That stuff moves so quickly
true.
anymore. We never know what we're gonna have or what.
It changes the week of.
Yeah, we never know. I mean,
There's been, I think, 2 or 3 Hershey's like the week before we've bought like a big pile of stuff right before Hershey. And it's
Yeah.
like, we're taking all of this new stuff to
yeah,
Hershey.
it's like fresh to the market. So
Yeah.
that's what we did at Oklahoma. It's always fun because people get to see the stuff.
Yeah.
Like we barely listed any of it for sale online, and they get to come and see the best set of doors, the best grill, and maybe we put it online, but like it was only been online for a week, so the guy's getting to buy it almost right off the truck, so to speak. So that's always fun to do. Swap meet wise, I don't think we just don't do a lot of big swap meets. We're probably going to do some small ones here and there. I'm very close to getting the sedan delivery on the road, so that's probably what I'll be doing once that's on the road. Is if I want to run to a little early V8 club swap meet, I'll throw some stuff in the back, drive out, hang out for the day, and sell. And that's just as fun. So, but I don't know if we're going to be doing a lot of the other big swap meets are too. They just don't seem to do it as good as Hershey and or we got to drive. If we got to drive to Canfield or Canton, which is 7 hours or something. Butler's terrible. I would never do the swap meet. Sorry if you run the Butler swap meet. It's terrible. I went once or twice, and I barely could find good lunch. Nonetheless, good parts. So that swap meet's a fucking dud as far as I'm concerned. Now, for me, other people might do well, but I went and did not have good experience. I'd rather stay home and dig through my own junk. And
we are super spoiled in this area with Carlisle and Hershey being so close.
Even our local swap meets are pretty good. Like
our flea markets, yeah.
Yeah, our flea markets, like our small car part flea markets, there's a lot of guys with good stuff around here. So like our early V8 meets, there's usually pretty decent stuff. And then I've gone to a couple like that, and it was hard to find anything early. Even if it was overpriced or anything, it was like I was lucky if I found. There was like one 37 Ford distributor in the whole freaking place. And that's how bad it was. I'm like picking a distributor. I'm like, maybe I could use this. I don't know. It's like, because there was nothing else.
37 more of them at the house.
Yeah, it was terrible. So I think we are a little spoiled with our swap meets in this area.
I mean, even just our antique flea markets.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's always car parts that show up at them.
True.
I mean, I've been to flea markets all over the country. Just when I used to travel, and you go to them, it's like just literally household junk. Never anything cool or old. It's all like modern junk. So even our flea markets are good antiques, good old car parts. It's very, very spoiled.
Yeah, and that's again with the sand delivery. We have a pretty good weekly flea market that's right down the road from us. That's also growing over the handful of years. They've done a good job. Jake's Flea Market, shout out to them. They do a great job. That flea market's like Saturdays and Sundays is mobbed. It's right on a major road, and it's huge. So I've been thinking, you know what, sedan delivery. I used to go there and vend occasionally, but like maybe once or twice a month, I'll get up early and go there and set up, bring a couple car parts and doodads and knickknacks, and just for something to do.
I'm in our area within an hour. There's probably a swap meet, a flea market we could do every day, because Leesport's 2 days a week. You have
Monday's perk sale.
You have Saturday and Sunday at Jake's, and there's another one. Green Dragons on Friday. It's on the other side of Reading. There's just there's so many. We could literally do a small swap meet every single day.
Yeah, you could do a flea market almost every day of the day or night of the week. So we're pretty lucky in that aspect. Now, a lot of those flea markets, you're not gonna there is going to be a lot of cell phone dealers and stuff like that. But if you just like the thrill of the hunt or something to do, you definitely could do. I used to do it a lot. I would go to flea markets and auctions. I would do like every Wednesday night. The one fire hall would have an auction, so I would go every Wednesday. And Monday I'd do perk sale, and you could do the stuff all the time. But what was happening was I was ending up with a lot of doodads and knickknacks that I did not need, and you start getting a lot of clutter. So I'm trying to. I know myself good enough that if I do a lot of those, even when we go to Jake's on a Saturday or Sunday, I always end up buying like a stupid Matchbox car, something that I thought I needed, and then I get it home and I'm like,
same with me, except the Matchbox car is for my son.
Yeah, well, at least you have an excuse. I buy a bunch of stupid crap, and then it stays in the trunk of the car or the center console, and a year later I open the trunk on like the DeLorean Roadster, and I'm like, where the hell did this weird license plate frame come from? And it's got like a $1 yard sale sticker. I'm like, that must have been Jake's or something. Or
I forgot I bought this.
Yeah, I bought it. And I'm like, why would I buy this? I was just bored, So it's pretty fun doing all those. So I think but Carlisle is definitely, overall, I would say if you're thinking about going, I think Spring Carlisle is probably worth the effort these days. We saw.
Definitely don't come on Saturday or Sunday.
No,
make time to come Wednesday, Thursday. They're the best 2 days, definitely. Thursday, definitely, because some people wait to come in till Thursday morning.
Yeah, Friday's good too.
Yeah.
I mean, Friday's still good. You're just not going to find the mega scores, but we saw people still coming in on Friday. Yeah. So there's stuff that the early birds miss because they leave on Wednesday or Thursday. Yeah. And sometimes Mike will walk on a Friday, and I usually don't walk on Fridays. Mike will walk on a Friday, and he'll find guys that like good stuff that the guy just set up on Friday. So
no, I mean, this year on Friday I walked and I bought a handful of things that were just
people that set up only on Friday.
Yeah.
So you just never know. So it's worth going if you can go.
And if you've been to fall, I don't think fall compares to spring, because with fall a lot of people are holding stuff back for Hershey. True. I feel so. I think spring is the better of the two because there's just people just bringing what they found this winter.
Yep.
A lot of fresh stuff coming to market, and it's packed.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, so it's always good.
Yeah,
and
I was very happy with this year.
Yeah, so overall, if you're thinking about going, I would suggest going if you can make the trip. Like we always say, get a booth, set up. Even if you want to go and shop for the first 2 or 3 days and set up Thursday and Friday, it's still good to participate. This is how these swap meets are going to continue to thrive or at least exist if people are participating. So if you could show up with a pickup truck and throw some stuff on the ground.
Our buddy Nick did that. He showed up and would vend for the first 4 or 5 hours of the day.
Yep.
Then he'd pack up and walk the swap meet in the afternoon, and
he was happy.
Cherry pick some stuff that was left behind.
Yeah, and like for most average people, they don't have a big setup like us, so it's very easy to like pack up your stuff or throw a tarp over and go walk for 2-3 hours and come back and pull the tarp off and sit down, and you're already set up. Like us, we need somebody manning the booth all the time, so it's like much more a lot more logistics involved. But if you can just go with a small setup, and like you did, it's half a day set up and vend, you're gonna make some money, and you'd still get the best of both worlds. You get to shop and do all that stuff and whatever else. So. Yeah, so that was our Carlisle adventure for this year. If you, people that always ask, now you don't have to ask us how we did. We did
I'm sure people will still ask us for weeks to come. How was Carlisle?
The weather was good. We made okay money.
Yeah.
A lot of vendors. There was some cool stuff we found. The end.
Yep, that's it.
So that's all we have for this quick little podcast. If you guys enjoy this, definitely do the subscribe thing on the audio outlets, Spotify, Apple, all those things. YouTube, you can drop us a comment below. If you were at Carlisle this year, drop us a comment. Let us know if you found something cool. We'd love to hear what your little treasure or find of the week was.
Love hearing people's scores.
Yeah, I love hearing what I missed. It's something you're like jealous but also happy for everybody else. So I love hearing that. So if you found something great, even if it was a good hot dog, let us know down below. We'd love to hear about your good lunch too. So thank you guys for listening. Catch you later.